Hi fans of high quality entertainment. This is, just for fun. I have 16 albums here. One is I think just one of them is a double. And I'm just curious because I highly doubt, well, I 100% am sure that no one has all 16 of these albums. And I'm pretty sure that no one has even half of these albums. I'll be surprised if some of you have even 2 or 3 of these albums. But like I said, it'll be, just for fun, and be curious to see if you own any of these albums I'm about to show you. They're not, some of them aren't very well known, but you might have 1 or 2 of them in your collection and you might surprise me. And I've talked about most of these in the past, but I just thought this would be a fun video. Thank you. First up, this is Phil Collins' Before Genesis. And I remember buying this in a cutout bin in the early 70s. And, reading the credits, and it's like, Phil Collins? He's the drummer for Genesis. He was in a band called Flaming Youth. This is from, I believe, 1969. There's Phil, right there. And this is like a very light prog, psychedelic, poppy album. It's fun. The production isn't the greatest on it, at least on this CD, but I enjoy it. I think overall it's a good album. And there's Phil there. I wonder if you have this in your CD collection. So that's 1. 15 to go. Now this is a double album, but the one that I love out of this, they were in a band called the Turtles, and then later on, of course, they were with Frank Zappa and the Mothers of Invention. Flo and Eddie, Moving Targets, an excellent pop rock album. They're known for their comedy, especially with the Mothers of Invention, but this is more serious, and they even do a remake of Eleanor, the Turtles hit. So like I said, this is a twofer. So it's this one here, Moving Targets album. I'll be very impressed if anyone has that in their CD collection. Here's a better picture of the album right there. I like the the title of their other album, Illegal, Immoral, and Fattening. Next up, this is considered a cult album. It was finally released a few years back, remastered supposedly. I just remember buying it in a cutout bin in the early 70s again. Kind of known artist, but like I said, this is known as a cult album from the early 70s, with Jerry Yester, who was in The Loving Spoonful, and Judy Henske, who had a fairly good solo career, not totally unknown. The album is called Farewell Aldebaran. Really psychedelic cover, and then the not so psychedelic back cover. There it is there. First ever authorized reissue of late 60s psychedelic masterpiece. Now, I love this artist, this blues artist. There, in the early 70s, once again, there was a compilation, Capitol Records, a Capitol Records compilation called The Spirit of Capitol. It had Grand Funk on it, Steve Miller Band. And the final song on it was by this blues artist, Mississippi Fred McDowell. And the song was Red Cross Store, which I absolutely love. And of course, the Rolling Stones covered You Gotta Move on Sticky Fingers. But anyway, I love this. I wonder if you have this in your CD collection. This is a band that I think actually just did their final album just recently. They were making albums all through these years, ever since 1977. This is their debut album. I bought this one and their second one back in the day, but I only have this one right now. And it's just great, simple pop, punk music. It is the Vibrators with Pure Mania. Yeah, if you like poppy punk music, kind of similar to the Ramones, but maybe a little poppier, a touch poppier, check out the Vibrators and Pure Mania. Another kind of punky pop album. I love this band. I have all of their early albums with Fergal Sharkey. This is their second one, Hypnotized. I wonder if you have this particular album in your CD collection. Let me know. But wait until the end of the video. Add up all of the... You'll have... I know that Bob Sampson is going to have 0. Janet Sampson. But yeah, Undertones, Hypnotized. Just great, really catchy, great riffs, great punk pop. Now this album is known to be really bad, terrible, but it has an endearing quality to it because the women that made this album, they weren't trying to make a bad album, they were being sincere. And so the rare times that I do listen to it, I kind of enjoy it for what it is. It is the Shaggs, Philosophy of the World. Do you have this in your CD collection? I know Glenn Kellaway from the Basement doesn't. Very underrated 60s band. You know, they're pretty well known, but I still feel their albums were underrated. They had quite a few hit songs on the radio, you know, so they're well known for that, but not so much for their excellent albums like The Rascals' Sea. Do you have this particular album in your CD collection? Now, as some of you know, I recently bought the remastered Killer and School's Out albums by the Alice Cooper Band. And this album, their second, Easy Action, I feel is very underrated. It's not, you know, it's not as well known as the later Alice Cooper albums, but this is really, really, really good. Easy Action. You must have that in your, you know, if you're an Alice Cooper fan, you know, a fan of the band, you should check out Easy Action. I do need to get Pretties for You, by the way. I don't have that one. Now, there are some albums in my CD collection that you might not have in your CD collection, and it's okay because I don't like this album. Although I love this artist, I love his vocals, he's one of my all-time favorite singers. But this album, by John Anderson. The More You Know is really cheesy, poppy. It certainly isn't Elias of Sunhill. And so I never play this. But I'm just curious. I wonder if you have this in your CD collection, if you're a Yes fan or a John Anderson fan. And maybe you like it, and that's okay. As some of you know, I'm a huge fan of Blue Oyster Cult. And if you're a fan of Blue Oyster Cult, you should have this particular album, not by Blue Oyster Cult, in your CD collection. It's before Blue Oyster Cult, when they were known as Stock Forest Group. Stock Forest Group. St. Cecilia, the Electra Recordings. And I was so impressed with this, and I remember when we did the CD exchange with Glenn Kellaway, and I gave him this album, he was impressed with it too. Almost a Grateful Dead vibe on some of the songs. Psychedelic rock, just really, really good. So if you're a Blue Oyster Cult fan, you need to check this album out. It should be in your CD collection right now. Getting mad. Five to go. So yeah, when you after this video's done, hopefully if you're still watching, list, I have 3 of the albums, or I have 18 of the albums, or I have 0 of the albums. Next up, I've talked about this band off and on through the years. Very underrated band. This was their 3rd and final album for many, many years, but then I think they've released 2 or 3 since. They've had reunions and everything. And this is my favorite by them. Deaf School. English Boys Working Girls. And there's the band. You can almost tell by the look of the band how the music is going to be inside. It's that good. Thumbnail. Once again, another album it's like half bad and it's half great. And it's half great because of the musicians on it. The vocals are to die for, which isn't good. Lord Sutch and Heavy Friends, that's right, with Jimmy Page, he's on some tracks, Jeff Beck is on other ones, John Bonham on drums, Noel Redding, and Nicky Hopkins. But yeah, some of it is excellent, like Flashing Lights with Jimmy Page. This should be in your CD collection. One, 2, 3 to go. Once again, this band isn't in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They were huge in the late 60s, early 70s. They had a lot of radio hits. And their albums are very, very underrated. And this is one of the many that I love. The Guess Who, So Long Bannantine. This should be in your CD collection if you like classic rock music. Maybe this will be the thumbnail. I'll decide later. Okay, final 2. Once again, Glenn Kellaway from the Basement had this on one of our CD exchanges and he loved it. I've had this. I bought this in a cutout bin in the early 70s. Obviously it didn't sell very well, but he's a very well-known singer, and this was a great band he had with killer guitar work and bass and drums. The Eric Burdon Band, Sun Secrets. It also comes with the album Stop, which I don't care for as much, but it's still good. But it's Sun Secrets. Just look at the band. You know, just by the look of them, you know they're going to be good. And Eric does a remake of It's My Life. He does Johnny Cash's Ring of Fire. And Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood. And some original material too. Highly recommend it. And just out of curiosity, because I know some of my viewers are Sparks fans, I wonder how many, though, have this in their collection. I think it's kind of expensive to buy now, but I bought this when it came out in 1991. It was their very first, well, maybe not their very first, but a very early compilation. Sparks Profile, the Ultimate Sparks Collection. And this is CD1, and you can see all the songs there, starting with Wonder Girl. And it comes with a very nice booklet. And Ron and Russell talk about each of the songs. So I've had this. This must be one of my earliest CDs. I've had this for over 30 years. It smells funky. And then, yeah, this is disc 2. So that goes all the way up to So Important and music that you can dance to. And so those are 16 albums that I've shown you. I am really curious how many of these 16 albums do you have in your collection, if any? And that is it. So thank you for watching. And have a great day. Bye. Oh, I gotta put all these away. Ugh.